In this video, we'll see how to get the dates, that is the start date and the end date for each of these tabs. So if I select this year, we should get the start date of this year and the end date of this year. Then if we select last year, we should get start date and the end date of this year. We'll also see how to make this date range picker. So right now it's asking for two dates, but we'll put a date range picker here and we'll list down all the categories that we have. Okay, so let's get started, and first let's open the application here. Okay, let's go to the application. Now what we need to do is let's modify the UI first. If I go ahead here and if I go to resources, I go to templates. Okay, I'll go to financial insights. Okay, here we'll require moment.js, so we'll include the moment.js library here. Okay, let's include it here. So we have the moment.js library here, and also include the date range picker libraries. Okay, I'll just paste the libraries below this. Okay, we have these two libraries here. And now let's go to a jQuery code and modify the jQuery code. Okay, before this, we'll go to the financial insights and we'll check the UI. Okay, this is the UI. So we'll add two buttons here. We'll also add the date range picker here. We'll add this, we'll remove this start date and the end date, and we'll add a date range picker. We'll paste it here. So here we are selecting the date range, and this will pop up the date range picker over here. And then we'll add two buttons just below this form, and this will be a search and reset button. Okay, let's save this. And now what we need to do is we'll just run the application and see if our application looks fine. Okay, our application is started on port 8080. Now let's reload this page and we'll see if I go custom here, we have a date range picker. But now the date range is not appearing. So for this, we'll have to add a jQuery code. So let's go back to the code and add the jQuery code in the reports file. So we'll go to the reports.js file that is located in static js and report.js, and we'll just add this code just above this. Okay, so here we are using date picker, and we are using the date id. This is the id of that field, and we are using the date range picker function of the library, and we are selecting the format as ddmmyy. So if I save this and if I reload the application here, if I reload this page, okay, our server has started. And if I go now to the custom, and if I click on this, now we get a date range picker here. So we can select from this to this date. And when we say apply, okay, we have not put the apply function yet, so we'll make an apply function. So the date range will get selected over here. So now what we are going to do is we are going to add the apply function over here. So when the date range is selected, the apply should take the start and the end date. Okay, we have a start date and the end date, and we have defined those dates here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the start date and end date, and I'll initialize them at the top of a script. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say let end date equal to null, and let start date also equal to null. Okay, equal to null. Okay, so we have these dates here, and it will show us the start and the end date when we select this. So it will console log this. So if we run this now and if we reload the page, okay, the server is not started yet. Okay, the server has been started, and now if we go to customs and if we select the date from 18 to 21 and we click on apply, we can see that start date and the end date is coming, and it is console log the data. So once we do this, okay, let's also get the dates for this week, past 6 months, past 7 days, past last year. Okay, we'll get all of these dates and we'll display them on the console log. Okay, so now here what I will do is just below this filter button, inside of this filter button, let's add another if else statements for the date ranges. So okay, so we have added the if else statement. So I'm getting the, if it is this year, if it is this year, then I'm getting the start date and the end date of the year. So if the user selects this year, now if I go to the financial insights and if I show you the classes that I have applied, so this year is the date range is this year. Okay, so it will take this. Okay, so we should put this class in the, okay, what we need to do now is we need to put this classes back here. So let's put this classes back here last year. So this should also come here. So this should be based on the class name. So past 6 months should also come here. So we are adding another class to the button. So based on this class, we are going to get the exec tab. Okay, this week will come here. And custom won't have anything because we already has defined a custom button. So now past 7 days, so I'll just copy this because this class is wrong in the reports. So I'll add past 7 days here. Okay. Now what will happen, it will check for this class. If this element has this class, then it will set the dates. Okay. Similarly, for the last year, it will check this class and based on it, will set the start and the end date. Okay, now let's display this. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to format these dates. Okay, if I go here and format these dates, okay, so you can see I'm formatting it to DDMMYYY so that we have the correct dates in the correct format. So if I go here and let's make it null at the initially is equal to null and let format and date equal to null. So when we have both of these as null, initially they are set to null, and here when we receive data, we should set them to the exact format. So now if I rerun this application, if I stop and rerun, okay, Tomcat server has been started, and if I rerun this application, if I'll clear the console, and now let's take, okay, last year. So we can see that the start date and the end date is coming for that particular period. So for 6 months, if I put 6 months here, the start and the end date appears for the 6 months. If I do past 7 days, the past 7 date, start date and the end date comes. This week, again we console log the current week's start and the end date. So this works now, and we are setting the dates. And now if I click on custom, and if I clear this, and if I select the date range from 4th to suppose 13th and apply, so we get the start and the end date. Now we'll get the categories also. So we need to go to the controller. So we have a reports controller here. So let's go to transactions controller and let's copy this service. So the categories will be loading from the category service. Hence we have copied the service, and let's use this here and let's make it auto wired. Okay, give it some spacing. And now let's go to the transactions controller again. And if we can see where we have used list of categories. Okay, we'll copy these categories from this place. And let's paste this into the reports controller. So if I go to reports controller here, if I come down, let's paste it here. So we are getting the financial categories, and also include this into the variable. Okay, so categories will be categories, and this also will be categories. Okay, now let's run the application. Okay, application is running, and let's reload the page now and recheck the categories now, and we can see our categories are now listed in the drop down. So we have done this. Now on the click of search button, we should get the data, because right now if you see, if I click on search, nothing is happening. It's not getting the start date and the end date. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll make a button responsive. So let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and add the code in the JavaScript file. So just go below this. So this is the function for filter, I suppose. So we'll go below the filter function, and let's add this code here. Like on the search button, we should get the category ID, then the formatted dates, and we'll console log all of them. So on search button click, we should get this data. So category will get from the category ID value, and these dates are already stored with us, so we'll get these dates. So let's rerun the application now. So on search button, let's see if it works. Okay, let's reload this page and let's see if it is working. So if I select last year, and then if I select a category groceries, if I use search, so I'm getting the start end date and the category ID. So if I clear this and if I do custom range, and if I select from 4th to 31st, I say apply, I clear the console and I search back again, I'm getting the start and the end date. So initially